Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cool Sports Guy. I'm Tom, and I am alone on the show today. Unfortunately, Jared couldn't make it, but this is our first show of the year, so we are going to jump right into it. Hopefully, everybody can watch and enjoy, but check us out on our website, coolsportsguy.com, our Twitter page, Cool Sports Guy, our Instagram page, and our Facebook, and we will just jump right in. Let me take these off so people can see. So let's see, we don't have a lot to talk about today except for a little bit of a couple of playoff scenarios, pictures and whatnot, and then next week we'll all be joining together to look at the playoff picture and jump right in and see where and what teams we think are going to succeed, make it to the Super Bowl, whatnot. We'll touch on it a little bit today, but here we go. So first and foremost, do want to talk about Damar Hamlin. Our Cool Sports Guys' deepest prayers and thoughts goes to Damar Hamlin. Last we heard, it looks like he is awake and talking, and that is fantastic to hear. Obviously, what happened Monday, there's no more explanation needed. Everybody's already talked about it, so we're not going to dig too deep. We just wish Damar Hamlin a happy recovery and hope he comes out of it. Hope he takes the field back, again, and plays football just like he always wanted, hopefully. And the only thing I want to point out or share from the experience I had on Monday, aside from what everybody's already talked about, is the fact that I just want to show respect for both coaches, Sean McDermott and Zach Taylor, real quick, just to say how much they were able to go talk to each other and understand, especially from Zach Taylor, hey, this game is potentially for the number one seed, but the health and safety and concern of Damar Hamlin is more important, and to just say, let's just stop for now. So once again, that's a lot of respect there. But we'll move on to football and some playoff scenarios. So let's see. So first of all, let's talk about. We'll start with the AFC mainly because now let's, to address that number one playoff spot scenario where the Bengals and the Bills did not actually get to finish the game. From what it seems like, it's too late in the season for us to add on a week or whatnot, and I don't think a rematch is going to happen, unfortunately. And I think this is the best choice here is Bills, Bengals. Game just doesn't happen. You essentially call it a tie on the game. Which would more than likely mean that the Chiefs will get the number one seed. Now, listen, if you believe you're a good enough team to go into the Super Bowl or go through the playoffs, win games, go into the Super Bowl and win, then you should have faith in yourself to go on the road and play play on the road and win games. So, and for the Chiefs and the Bengals, or I'm sorry, not the Chiefs, for the Bengals and the Bills, the good news is both of these teams are going to win their division no matter what. Both of these teams are in the playoffs. Both of them will get a home playoff game. The only thing they don't get is a bye week. And if that's your only concern, listen, you essentially just played one quarter of a game a week ago. Consider that your bye week. Again, be glad the player Damar Hamlin is okay. And take it from there. As far as the rest of the AFC, obviously from the way it's standing right now, it looks like the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Chargers are going to play each other, or at least more than likely going to play each other, which I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars will win. I could be wrong there, but nonetheless, I think at the end of the day, Bengals, Chiefs, Bills, it was always between these three teams. That felt like at least halfway through the season, that's kind of what we figured that's going to be in the Super Bowl. I'm super excited to watch the AFC playoff teams. The Bengals are playing the Ravens. Just talking about the Ravens, Lamar Jackson is still out. Even if he comes back, he hasn't necessarily proved himself to be a great quarterback in the playoffs. One of the years he was hurt, he's won one year, and the other year, obviously, the year they went 14-2, they got wrecked in the playoffs. So I still have more faith in the Bengals. They're a better team. Joe Burrow, I love his calmness. Joe Cool in the pocket. I think he will win this game. The Chiefs obviously is going to get the bye. Listen, Bills, as of right now, the way it stands, they're probably going to play the Patriots. We saw exactly what happened wild card weekend where the Patriots had to play the Bills. And there is a very high chance round 2 is going to look just like that. The Patriots, there are some great things that they do, especially on the defensive side of the football. They are a little too inconsistent on the offensive side of the football. So I don't necessarily see a scenario where the Patriots beat the Bills in the playoffs and, keep going. And if they do, man, that's going to be an exciting, that's going to be an exciting story to talk about. But until then, I don't think there's a single person, including players even on the Patriots, that are picking the Patriots to beat the Bills. So essentially, at the end of the day, you're probably going to see, I believe you're going to see the winner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and Charger game is going to play the Chiefs, and Bills and Bengals are going to play. So there you have it. And the winner of those is going to go to the AFC Championship game. To me, more than likely, AFC Championship game. This last week, I had the Bengals beating the Chiefs. Man, I can't get these teams right. I'm so sorry. I had the Bengals beating the Bills, and I think when they meet in the playoffs, the Bengals are more than likely going to beat the Bills, and therefore I believe it's going to be a Chiefs-Bengals AFC Championship game, and then we'll see what happens from there. Once again, we'll have more definitive answers next week on who exactly is going to be in the playoffs playing who, and we will talk about it more then. So my favorite matchup in these scenarios as of right now, the first one actually is probably going to be the least talked. It's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars playing the LA Chargers. Now, Chargers is in the playoffs for the first time. Jacksonville is in the playoffs since they went all the way to the AFC Championship game back in 2017. Obviously, neither of the quarterbacks, because QBs have changed since both of these teams have been in the playoffs. Neither of these quarterbacks have been in the playoffs ever in their careers, and they're both great quarterbacks. And now the only difference is, I think in the beginning of the year, I had picked Doug Peterson to be the coach of the year, and I also picked the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the division and to go to the playoffs. Halfway through the season, I gotta say, I had no choice but to admit defeat, jumped off that bandwagon, and I said, they're not looking too hot. They've lost too many games. They're not going to be so great. But then the Titans decided to start crumbling, including losing to the Texans, who's now, by the way, at 2 wins of the season, and one of them being the Titans. And the Jaguars are doing pretty well, including beating, again, the Titans. So I think Jacksonville is going to get into the playoffs. Personally, great news here is no matter who wins, I think it's going to be an exciting game to watch. And then no matter who they play afterwards, it's going to be an exciting game to watch from there, because both of these teams play a pretty fun game to watch. I personally trust Doug Peterson as the head coach a little bit more in the playoffs, and I think I'm more than likely going to end up picking Jacksonville Jaguars to win the game. Aside from that, listen, I have no desire to watch Bills Patriots game. I think it's going to be very similar to what happened last year. I think they're just going to wreck them. Chiefs are obviously, at this point, probably going to go on a bye. But the fun fact, again, Bengals Ravens is a division game that's happening, and it's going to be a more competitive game than the Bills and the Patriots game. But nonetheless, with no certainty on Lamar even coming back, he is probably going to come in and he's probably going to come in, but he still needs to prove himself in the playoffs. I personally trust Joe Burrow in the bigger picture. Switching over to the NFC, where the number 1 spot is still open, up for grabs between Dallas, the 49ers, and Philadelphia. Philly obviously lost Jalen Hurts. We don't know exactly what's wrong with him, exactly when he's going to come back. He's probably going to come back for this game coming up against the Giants, just so they can win and secure that number 1 spot. Here's the good news for Philly. The Giants have zero reason to play everybody. The Giants have zero reason to win this game. The Giants are locked into the 6th seed spot, whether they win or lose this week. The Giants might as well rest everybody, make sure nobody's banged up, make sure nobody's dinged up, get healthy. So this game is super pointless to the Giants, and it's extremely, useful for Philly to win. So I think this might be a cakewalk for Philly to win this game. And the second thing I want to say on that is, even if Jalen Hurts doesn't come back, if Giants aren't starting all their starters, I think Minshew will do a fine job of beating the Giants. I think Philly's still going to end up with the number 1 seed. Obviously, if they don't, the 49ers play the Cardinals. Look, they're going to win that game. They're going to win that game. I mean, it is J.J. Watt's last game. I'm sure he'll give it everything he's got. But the 49ers right now, as we speak, are fighting for a number 1 spot. Of course, they're going to play hard to win that game and get that number 1 spot. Because even if they don't get the number 1 seed, they could still, with the win and with the Minnesota loss, they can still make sure that they hold on to the number 2 seed. The Dallas, on the other hand, again, is hoping for the 49ers to lose and Philly to lose. And Dallas needs to win. And Dallas is more than capable of beating Washington. And again, Washington has nothing to play for at this point. Unfortunately, Ron Rivera didn't even realize 2 weeks ago he could have been out of the playoffs. The idea behind starting Carson Wentz, don't know why or where that came from. I'll never understand that. Like, Carson Wentz, in one period of time, was one of the most amazing. I mean, he was going to be league MVP if he didn't get hurt. It's almost like Jalen Hurts this year. Jalen Hurts, again, he might be back, but a couple weeks before the season ended, who was holding on to the number 1 seed, Jalen Hurts got hurt. Just like that, Carson Wentz also got hurt. Nick Foles came in last time, and Eagles ended up winning the Super Bowl, so we'll see what the heck happens here if they hold on to the number 1 seed and go into the playoffs with the backup quarterback. Last time we saw Eagles have a backup quarterback going into the playoffs with the number 1 seed, they won. So maybe Philly will win, but as of right now, Washington and the Carson Wentz not doing so hot. Regardless of who they start in this game, it means nothing to them. Win means nothing. Loss means nothing. Dallas, on the other hand, again, a lot more motivated to win. 49ers playing the Cardinals. 49ers need to win. Cardinals do not. Dallas playing Washington. Dallas need to win. Washington does not. Minnesota is playing the Bears. Minnesota can use a win. They don't need to win, I think, but they can definitely use a win. Bears, try to lose. Try to lose and hope the Texans win at this point, because you want that number 1 pick, if possible. Philly's playing the Giants. Don't need to win. And Philly could use a win. So there are incentives for at least half side of the teams to play hard and win this week. That being said, here's the thing. Talking about playoff picture. Really, like, this is a little harder than the AFC to determine who's going to be the number 1 seed, to see who's going to play who. But obviously, we already know the wild card teams. Tampa Bay has a number 4 seed, and Minnesota is going to win their division. Between Philly and Dallas, the division is still up for grabs. 49ers going to win the division, which means, who do we got? We got, well, it might be Seahawks and the Lions, or Seahawks and the Packers, depending on what happens this week. But whoever is going to go to Tampa and play is going to be between Dallas, who's going to be a wild card, who Tampa beat earlier in this year, or Philly, who, listen, if they make wild card spot at this point, that means they're crumbling towards the end of the season. Even if Jalen Hurts come back, he doesn't have too much practice or too many games recently that he's played. I think this could get interesting. To me, there's one team in the NFC that holds a giant threat to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is the 49ers. If they both meet up, I think the 49ers are just gonna knock the wheels off of Tampa Bay. Aside from that, Minnesota, do I trust Kirk Cousins in prime time? I don't, not really. Seahawks, Tampa's already beaten them. Do I trust Daniel Jones and the Giants to beat Tampa? Not really. So to me, to go to the Super Bowl, the game might come down to between Tampa and 49ers. Now, not necessarily an NFC championship game, but it's going to be one of these two teams, in my opinion, that's going to go to the Super Bowl. So Where does that leave us? Tampa Chiefs Super Bowl, 49ers Chiefs rematch. I think I'll be super excited to watch a 49ers Chiefs rematch. So yeah, there you have it. That's your NFC AFC as of right now standings / playoff picture. I don't know, I'm not entirely sure which team's gonna have it. Let's talk about the bye week for a second and the importance of number one seed. Listen, the number one seed matters more to have a home playoff game, I think, in my opinion, than having that bye week. There are obviously four teams that's gonna end up getting a home playoff game at least guaranteed in the playoffs. But in the last time a number one seed team actually went to the playoffs and won, I believe is actually the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Philly won and the Patriots won, but I don't think they were the number one seed. No, because they beat the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. And then, I guess the Chiefs have been, nope, that was, the Titans was the number one seed when Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Yeah, the last team to have a number one seed and actually go into the playoffs and to win the Super Bowl was the Philadelphia Eagles. And that was all the way back in 2017. So maybe the number one seed, a little overrated. Let us know what you guys think in our comments. Also, let us know who you think is going to be, who's going to be the Super Bowl favorites. Me personally, I'm still sticking with Tampa Bay to go to the Super Bowl. That was my Super Bowl pick in the beginning of the year. Obviously, I'm never going to bet against my guy, Brady. I'm sure my colleague, especially Jared, has a hard time believing that Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, with this bad of a team, is capable of coming back into the postseason and winning games consistently to go into the playoff. But you know what? He might be right. I'm not disagreeing with them, but I do want to point out one thing. The game against Panthers last week, that was a playoff game. That was the best game they've had this entire year. Maybe aside from the Cowboys game, because they held the Cowboys to 3 points and they put up 20 points. But that game against Panthers, by the way, week 7 of this year, the Panthers destroyed, I think the score was 21-3 and Bucks lost. It was a division game. And this was to make the playoffs. This was to make sure you win your division. And when it mattered, somehow the Bucks found a way to win the game. So I think it's a little premature to count them out going into the playoffs. I think that they are still very much in it. I also personally, I would love to see the Lions in it. I hope the Green Bay Packers does not win. Nothing against Packers, nothing against Rodgers. I think they'll be excited to watch in the playoffs. But the way the Lions offense is currently playing the football, I will love to see them in that game playing. I think it's going to be very exciting. But for that to happen, I also believe that, it's not all up to the Lions. Because the Giants are for sure in it, a team between the Cowboys and the Eagles. One of those are going to be a wild card team. And then lastly, the Seahawks. If the Seahawks win, the Lions are out. And if the Seahawks loses and the Lions win, then the Lions are in. So it's going to be fun and exciting to watch. If I have to pick one of the teams between the two, unfortunately, it's not going to be the Seahawks. I think the Lions have been very exciting to watch the last couple of weeks. So therefore, I will be more than happy to have the Lions get in. If the Lions get in, I think they will be playing the number 2 seed, which as of right now seems like it'll be Minnesota or the 49ers, which I hope it's Minnesota. I really do. I hope the Lions get a division game on the road against Minnesota. If that happens, there's a very high chance I'm going to pick the Lions to win. Seahawks, on the other hand, would, I guess, get to play again between, more than likely, essentially between the 49ers and probably going to be the 49ers. We'll see, unless they end up getting the number 1 seed somehow. So those are the playoff pictures. Only other thing I want to add, since my colleague isn't here to fight me on it, is just to talk about the Bucks-Panthers game. I know I kind of touched on it just a little bit not too long ago, but guys, listen. Tom Brady just keeps impressing the crap out of me. That man is too good at what he does. And when all the chips were pushed to the middle of the table and they had no choice but to win the game, because if they lost the game last week, and by the way, they were down 11 points going into the fourth quarter. If they would have lost the game last week, then this week, even if they beat the Falcons, as long as the Panthers beat the Saints, the Panthers would have been in and the Bucks would have been out. And when everything mattered, they came through. Do want to just point that out. That was amazing, and I loved every minute of it. And I think they're going to be a scary team. I really, really think they're going to be a scary team. And then on the AFC side of the football, look, if Chiefs go to the Super Bowl this year, the Chiefs are winning it. I don't know there's a single team in the NFC. If it comes down to Bucks and Chiefs, obviously I'm not betting against my guy. But if the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl, I don't think there's a team in the NFC that's technically, or that is going to be capable of beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But the Bengals, on the other hand, in the postseason, I think they are more than capable of beating the Chiefs. They've proven that time in and time out multiple times. Either way, playoffs are starting to look exciting as ever, more than it ever has. I know some folks, listen, there are some folks that are out there that are going to be a little upset if the Chiefs end up with the number one seed, because it's not fair since the Bengals and the Bills beat the Chiefs in the regular season and they have, quote unquote, earned the right to not be the number 2 or number 3 seed behind the Chiefs. Guys, what happened on Monday, let's hope it never happens again. What happened on Monday was terrifying, and I hope that everybody understands that this is the last thing that we should worry about when someone was on the field fighting for their life. If your team is as good as you believe it is, you should be able to not get a bye, go on the road if you need to go on the road eventually, if you're taking on the Chiefs, and win the game. If not, just be happy that a player did not pass away on the field. He looks like he will make recovery. And on that positive note, I think it's time to call it a day. I really appreciate everyone tuning in for this. Thank you so much. Once again, don't forget our Facebook page, our Twitter, our Instagram, our TikTok, which Mr. Jose has now started with Collision with Jared. Please check us out. And our YouTube page. Once again, thank you so much for joining. I hope everybody have a fantastic 2023. And I hope, well, I almost said all the bets you place are going to be successful. But if you're betting against what I'm picking, then not. I hope you bet everything that I bet on, and it's a success. Until then, thank you so much. Have a great day.